Welcome back to the weekly edition of the Top 10 Selling Cards, January 27th to February 2nd of 2024. Now in today's video, we have a lot of Murders at Karlov Manor and a few odd surprises and an actual card that went over 100k in sales. So stick around everyone, we have a lot to cover in today's video. Let's get the party started. Hi everyone and welcome back. MTG Moxman here. Thanks again for hanging out with me on my channel today. A reminder before we start the video that if you enjoyed today's content and you want to see more Moxman, all you got to do is hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. And of course, if you're shopping for any of the cards you happen to see in today's video, please consider using my affiliate link found in the description of this video. Now let's take a look at our number 10 card this week. And of course, Murders at Karlov Manor is very prominently displayed this week. This is No More Lies. Now this thing starts out the week with 2,890 sales, or a total sales volume of $4,595.10. Of course, this thing says counter target spell unless its controller pays 3. If that spell is countered this way, exile it instead of putting it in its owner's graveyard. A nice little counter spell, of course using 2 colors, but keep in mind guys that all these sales we're seeing right now, and a lot of these are Murder at Karlov Manor with a few other real surprises in store, these sales are likely to not continue after the 30 days. We notice a lot of petering off in the last couple of years, with other cards resurging and coming back to the forefront after the initial shock of a new set goes by. So I'll be curious to see how this all pans out. Stay tuned because of course I'll keep updating you every week. Now, our next card, not dead after all. This is from, of course, the Wilds of Eldraine, and I'm surprised to see this thing is still hanging in there, but of course 2,976 sales, but the total sales volume is only $1,785 for all those copies because the market price is 60 cents. But this is a very highly utilized card. It may not hold a high dollar value, but the playability value for this thing, including other formats like Commander, not just Standard, and Arena, this thing sees a lot of play, guys. So keep it in mind that if you're looking to build a deck using black, you're probably going to want to include this card in there. Being able to bring back your creatures and have them re-enter the battlefield messes people up, and that's why you're seeing so many cards they get rid right now. They get rid of the graveyard and they exile creatures from play, like the Wandering Emperor type thing, and of course the card we just saw. So this is interesting stuff, but we'll see how it plays out in the longer run as cards rotate through our formats this year, because of course it's a bigger rotation. Now, the number 8 card, Tamio Safekeeping, was number 1 last week with like 9,000 plus sales. This week it still holds in at number 8 with 3,654 sales. That's still $4,457.88. And of course, all these prices are US dollars. You can see it has a bit of a bell curve there at the end of the week, just past the February 2nd on your screen. You can see it started rising in price just because of the sheer volume of sales. It doesn't matter how cheap the card is. If it's playable, players are going to buy it, and there was a huge influx of players buying this card and probably a lot of speculation going on excuse me. But we also see even now, a week later, it's still having a very strong impact, and we're still seeing a lot of sales in that open market. So we know that nobody's opening Kamigawa Neon Dynasty anymore, so I'll be curious to see if this thing rises even further the further we get away from Kamigawa before this thing gets a reprint. Now let's stop in and take a look at our number 7 card this week. For this card, guys, Bitter Triumph, again, this is the Lost Caverns of Ixalan. It's been on the list numerous times. It's $1.99. It's been falling in price, and it continues to kind of glide downward, but it still has a lot of playability. 1 black, 1 generic, and as an additional cost to cast this spell, discard a card or pay 3 life, destroy target creature or planeswalker. But at instant speed, this is an easy price for players to pay, and they're going to do it. 3,830 sales this week, $7,621.70 in total sales volume shows that cards from a lot of these sets, uncommons, commons, they get played, they're going to get utilized. But the value of these cards has yet to really be determined. We have to see how the rest of this format is going to play out this year in Standard as new sets come online. And of course, the Lost Caverns of Ixalan cards will be around for a lot longer. So I'll be curious to see how the values kind of bob and weave with the new cards entering into the format. But either way, this card sees a lot of play, and I expect it to continue all the way through 2024 and well into 2025. All right, guys, let's take a look at our next card. And now we're stopping in all the way back to Lord of the Rings. I commented a few weeks ago where I hadn't seen a few of these cards coming back, but here, jumping right into number 6 is Lorien Revealed. 4,380 sales, and this is definitely a speculation move, so let me explain this. $12,088 in total sales volume. This card used to be as high as almost $5. It's now $2.76. So who goes in and buys 300 or 400 copies at a time? That's not a normal sales volume, so when I see numbers like that from a particular single source, you know somebody just cleaned up a whole bunch of stuff against a whole bunch of game platforms and local game shops. So when I see those sales, guys, that's speculation because nobody's opening Lord of the Rings anymore, and they're expecting these cards in Commander to go up in value. Pay attention to the market. MTG Finance, ever changing. Stopping in now at number 5, we're going back to the Murders at Karlov Manor with Undercity Sewers. Now this card's all the way down to $2.27. I actually believe that's a little bit too cheap. The Surveil mechanic and the way it can interact with dredge and stuff in your graveyard is insane. Mixing this with cards like the Temple of Epiphany and stuff they gave you, the Scry 1, and putting all these lands into kind of a combo deck has a lot of possibilities and very intriguing. Now, 4,640 sales means it still had $10,500 in sales volume, which is great, but that price going down like this means it's a really affordable card for a lot of players to get in at the ground floor. Not knowing if the card will rise or go even further down, I'd be willing to take a risk and spend $10 buying 4 copies now and never having to worry about it again. Remember that. After you own these kind of land cards, mana-based cards, you don't really ever need to replace them. Buy them, get them out of the way, and these are super cheap. Now, let's stop in. We're taking a look at that number 4 card, and this is Pick Your Poison. I kind of knew this card was going to be here. I commented on this in the spoiler season. 5,300 sales. Now, this is a single green sorcery with choose one. Each opponent sacrifices an artifact. Each opponent sacrifices an enchantment. Each opponent sacrifices a creature with flying. This is a disgustingly powerful card, and of course it'll be included in Commander decks. It's only 44 cents, so it makes sense that players are going to buy mass volumes of this card. I can buy 50, 60 copies for under $10. That's what you're seeing a lot of. That's speculation for sure, but they also recognize a lot of playability and uncertainty in the market about how we'll be 90 days out with players choosing to open or not open these products. That is something we have to kind of keep in mind, that these cards may actually really spike in value in the near future. We can't be sure of it, but we know players' sentiment toward these sets, so always something to factor in when you're considering your MTG finance. All right. Now we're getting down here to an insane card. Roaming Throne. Guys, this card should be petering out at this point. Instead, it's bell curving again. 5,361 sales. That is $134,000 and $134,025. That's a mouthful. This card has over $100,000 in sales from all the sources I can gather, which means it's actually a lot higher than that. I just can't see it all, which means that's scary. I've looked, and I'm still seeing, yes, some moderate speculation in the card, people buying 16, 20 copies at times, but I really don't think it's a safe PowerPoint to buy this card out right now. I would steer you guys away from it in good conscience, just saying, I don't know where the card's going to go, but I'm worried about the price tag if it starts going up. So I would leave it for the next 90 days and see how it comes out. If you own the card, I would hold because it's still doing pretty well. All right, Crime Novelist. Murders at Karlov Manor. We all knew this card was going to be here, and again, slight downturn, but still 6,200 sales, guys. An insane number. But the total sales volume was only $31,000. I have a lot of people out there who believe this card is going to go just ape. It's going to go crazy. It's going to blow people's minds and cause disgusting combinations because of the way you can get rid of artifacts, get mana from the artifacts to cast ever more deadly spells, draw more cards, do crazy things. There's a lot of combos that can go with this guy that makes perfect sense. And of course, he's still in bolt range. He's still, but he's not in ping range of a 2 damage spell. So he's got a little more staying power than people expect, but he does cost 3 mana, so he's not going to instantly appear. And thank goodness the guy doesn't have flash, or we'd all be having panic attacks. Keep this guy in mind. I do think this card actually could hit the $7 mark at some point in the near future, so we'll see. He's a lot harder to get than people realize inside the boxes. He's definitely on a tougher track printing. Now what we've all gathered here to see, the number 1 card this week is Insidious Roots Murders at Karlov Manor. 7,100 sales. This thing's $2.10, but what are we talking about for this enchantment? 1 green, 1 black. It says, creature tokens you control have, add 1 mana to your mana pool. Any color. Think about that with Mirix and making all the little Phyrexian Might tokens and stuff, guys. Crazy stuff. Whenever one or more creature cards leave your graveyard, create a 0/1 green plant creature token, then put a +1/+1 counter on each plant you control. This card could get very disgusting very quick, depending on how players build around it. This thing is really cheap. It's accessible. I'm expecting to see this thing a lot in the near future, and that's why the sales are so high. So get ready for it, because this thing is coming to a lot of deck building near you. Guys, let's get to the wrap up here. And by the way, that's still $14K in sales for a $2 card. The future may not be written yet, but we're definitely getting strong indicators about how this market's going to become the new thing. We understand how singles are selling in such strong quantities and how players are choosing to engage back with Standard, as well as continuation of Commander as a very strong and sought out format. These cards Wizards are building are for Commander, but they're being played in Standard, and they're being this cross-promotional thing they're still doing, but I actually expect that to change over time. The price spikes we're going to be seeing in the near future, I still think they're going to happen, in my opinion, but we have to wait and see. The future's not written. We just get indicators by the sales volumes and by other indicators like how few boxes are actually being opened by players and only by stores. And I know stores have cut back on the openings, okay? I know for a fact they're cutting back on as many boxes as they used to open. It's going to be one of those kind of ever-changing, evolving things. We'll have a lot to report on. There'll be a lot of news to go out there, and that's why we got to keep up to date with the information, because MTG Finance, it just keeps changing around, right? It keeps evolving. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Thanks for stopping by the channel today, guys. Epic having you guys all here. I got to get to a pre-release. I'll let you guys know how I did on the Sunday live stream. Hope you guys can all make it. And don't forget the reserve list top 10 is going to be out tomorrow, so I hope you guys enjoy that video and can come by the channel and see me on the live stream, 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. Have an awesome day, guys. Enjoy your pre-release if you're going, and check out my pre-release guide. It'll give you a few hints, at least I hope it will, and give you some information. I'll see you guys soon. Hey guys, a big shout out and thank you to the fantastic patrons we have here on the channel supporting each and every day. Because of the patrons of this channel, daily uploaded content's made possible. So thanks again for all you loyal supporters. I'll see you tomorrow. Well, you made it. You're here at the end? The ramble jamble time? You made it to the end? Okay, number one, if you made it to the end, you got to put a Necronomicon in the comments section. That way I know you made it this far. It's important. Remember that. Necronomicon. Okay. So you made it that far. You're here. You're at the end. What are we talking about? Murders at Karlov Manor. Also the top 10. I don't know if you guys knew this. You probably didn't. The pre-release is this weekend. Those card sales should be nowhere near that high for Murders at Karlov Manor. It shouldn't even be possible, because the game has not officially released yet. So I'm curious to see how that's all going to pan out with products that technically can't be shipped yet. And how many canceled orders are going to come across for all the bloody singles we're seeing selling. I didn't say it in the video. I wanted to save it for the Ramble Jamble people, so I saved it for you guys. Just something to factor into everyone's conversations for the day. Have a great one. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Got to finish the coffee, and I got to get to a pre-release. I'll talk about it on Sunday. Later.